recording is on. Are you having fun?
I'm playing with a microphone set up here, so you can't see it in the thing here, but
Oh, yeah.
this is wobbling and it shouldn't be wobbling, and I don't know why it's wobbling. And of course it'll be some magic thing, and I just have to behave myself and stop futzing with it, and it'll be fine. But hey, here we are. Hi.
Hi. That was the most honest thing I've ever seen. Welcome to the background life of Sandy and Millie. Unreal. Go for it,
Right?
Millie. Do your introduction.
Sure. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Millie Gormely, and in real life, I am a certified financial planner, and I specialize in working with independent women in Ontario. And my whole goal, my gig, my deal is that I want to have my clients feel like they're in control of their financial lives, to feel like they've got all the pieces of their financial life working together so that they can be calm and comfortable and confident about their futures. That's what I do.
You're lagging again.
Am I? I probably have too many windows open or something. Let me just play around with this for a
Yeah,
bit. And
because
while
your
I'm
mouth moves, but then the sound's like a split second later.
okay, well, we may be trying to do too many things at once with StreamYard. So regardless of me, you go ahead and you talk, and we'll see if I can't get myself sorted out a bit.
Bonjour, Mishko Pognon Quainadishnakas Mungdo Dem. Hi everyone. My name is Sandi Boucher. I'm Red Thunderbolt Woman of the Loon Clan, a proud member of Seine River First Nation in Treaty 3 territory in Northern Ontario, Canada. And I am focused on, I don't know, bringing a country together, preferably by Tuesday, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No
From
big.
an Come on, I can dream. I offer an Indigenous perspective to non Indigenous people who truly want to learn, the people who have realized that engagement strategies up to now have not been working, that mainstream programs have not been working, that bridges that people have wanted to build for years are not being built. And maybe it's because they're missing a little bit of information. And of course, I still work in First Nation communities with family, friends, colleagues, and people, friends I haven't even met yet, to help with empowerment, remembering our resilience and the value of our teachings. So, like Millie, I am all about empowerment. Empowering women is my jam. And full disclosure, Millie happens to be my financial advisor. So, on my own empowerment journey, not only learning more about money, learning that I could have money, that was a
Mm,
novel thing to learn, and
yeah.
also coupling that with my humility teaching that I didn't need to know everything about money, that I could become friends and coworkers and colleagues with people like Millie who could use their expertise to help me accomplish what I wanted to accomplish without me having to learn a whole bunch of stuff that is never going to make sense to me. So I totally appreciate people like Millie. Yes.
Thank you. And I appreciate you because Lord knows we need more of what you are doing in this country. Full
Thank you.
stop. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And I was thinking about this morning. I think one of the reasons my seminars are so popular is I have zero interest in shaming guilt. I have zero interest in making someone feel bad. Most times it's missing information or misinformation that they've received. We can have a respectful conversation. I can answer questions. I can encourage them in the right areas and keep them away from things that might cause them problems in the future. And I get to work with the most amazing people. Reality is the problematic people don't hire me. They don't go to my seminars, go figure. But
Hmm.
the people that do want us to be together. And that's just so encouraging. Right.
Yeah, and I feel the exact same way in my very different sphere. Like
Yep.
beating people up over decisions they've made in the past, or because they've been given information from their parents or their grandparents that doesn't
Yep.
work well for them. That's not doing anybody any good. I mean, my whole thing is, let's get clear on where you personally are at right now, and let's give you the tools and the information that you need to move forward, and then
Yep.
let me help you do these things so you don't have to do it all yourself.
Yes.
I think that's something that in this, certainly from the mainstream or the white perspective, this idea of you have to be able to handle everything yourself and asking
Yeah.
for help or outsourcing to an expert is somehow failing. That's a really terrible thing, because there's all kinds of things in this world that we shouldn't attempt to do ourselves because there
100%.
are experts to do them,
Why
you
does cooking come up every time I talk to you? There is something I should never attempt. Ask anyone who's ever eaten a meal I attempted. But, what I was thinking when you just said that, it was kinda like a light went on for me in that mindset of I have to do it on my own. If I need help, I'm a failure is 100% a trauma response. That you've reached out or
Mm.
leaned on someone in the past and that really didn't go well, or you got the backlash for reaching out. So now it's, if I don't ask for help, no one can say no. No one can judge me. So
Okay,
I
so
think we just
either
figured why a whole bunch of women haven't reached out to you yet, and I really hope they're listening to this podcast
well,
because
yeah.
that is that one step, that one
Yeah.
admitting you need help, and that does not make you less. That makes you wise, not weak. Wrong W word, I always say. That could change so much because I know, well, I don't want to say I know the stuff you do in the background. I have a vague idea of the things you do in the background,
Yeah.
and
It
I see
basically
the
involves me sitting in
invisible.
front of a lot of numbers. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's like you just described my worst nightmare. But I appreciate the end game. I appreciate the result.
Yeah.
I appreciate feeling like I have a teammate as opposed to doing this on my own. So
Mhm.
I hope people are
Interesting.
listening,
So
right?
either the entirety of society has a trauma response, or it's just me.
Well,
I don't know. And
well, guess
I kind of
what?
suspect it's not just me.
Women are a marginalized group.
Yeah.
So
Even though we're
that
half the
there's
bloody
trauma.
population,
100%. And there's
right? It's
trauma
ridiculous.
there, right?
Yes.
And aren't we supposed to be super women and know everything and be able to do everything
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
whatever.
for sure.
Whatever.
Bring home the bacon, fry it up in a
Egg.
pan, blah, 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 all this other crap.
Yeah, yeah,
2.3 children, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
University
Exactly.
degree, you know.
See,
Yeah.
like math, my head went 2.3. What?
That is the statistical thing. Yes, I know there's no such thing as a third of a child, unless you've got
Yeah.
some very weird custody situation.
That's another kind of podcast, and we're not gonna go there.
No, we're not gonna go there. No.
So, Millie, I know you trust me with everything, but did you happen to look at what the theme for today's show was?
No. I'm terribly sorry. I have
No,
not.
you know what?
I
I
will
was like,
flat out confess, I have not.
I knew it. I was like, she's not gonna look. She's just that trusting and that awesome. It's amazing.
Well,
So
I
you're gonna
am,
love it.
and okay, let's hear it.
It's the 4 words. It's
Okay.
never too late.
It's never too late. Okay.
And I think
Well,
we could
that's
think
debatable
of,
depending on what we're talking about.
well, you know what? I know I could definitely think of career responses. I could think of personal responses. I could
Mhm.
think of female, centered responses.
Sure.
There is so much. So I guess I'm going to throw out a question there.
Mhm.
If you had to think back over your life, career, whatever, the whole 9 yards, could you think of a time where maybe you thought it was too late, but you did it anyways, or someone else told you it was too late and you did it anyways, and now you're so glad you did?
Yeah, I can actually. And it seems kind of silly now when I look back on it because I was very young when I thought it was too late to do something. I thought it was too
Okay.
late to change careers when I was 36 years old, which seems flippin' ridiculous now.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like, well, and this was back in a time,
Yeah.
cue sepia toned overlay, that the idea of people changing careers wasn't as common. The
Yeah.
standard of you left school, you got a job, you stayed there for 30 years, and then you got your gold watch and you're retired with a company pension. That was still very much
Yeah.
a standard and a thing, right? So when I changed careers at 36, I was worried that was it too late for me? Should I just stick in the career that I was in, which wasn't terrible? I was making decent money. I had a steady job. I had benefits and a pension, and everything was,
Yeah.
not quite golden handcuffy. I wasn't making that much money, but I was miserable. I wasn't having any fun, and I changed my career. And I genuinely was worried that is it too late for me to make this change? Because a lot of the people that were so I went to this training thing when I first switched, and not all of most of the people in that class of 20 some odd people were at least 10 years younger than me. So that
Okay.
that starts, the old insecurities firing up pretty quick. And yeah, I was genuinely concerned that I would not be wise to make this big of a change this late stage in my career. Well, that was, 18 years ago, and here we are. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was a thing back for me once.
Trying to think, is there a time? Well, anyone who knows me knows I would never listen to someone else
Oh God,
saying it's
no.
too late. That doesn't even enter my realm. But I'd
No.
be willing to bet there were times that I thought it. Um, hmm,
There may have
I
been times
have.
when people around you thought it and just didn't have the guts to say it to your face,
Oh, well, that's true too. I
right?
mean, I was kind of along the lines of your story. I was mid 40s when I walked away from a seriously good paying job, the most money I was ever making, and all the perks. Like, I mean, those crazy things, stat holidays and paid holidays, and,
8
and you know,
holidays. Yeah.
and mileage getting paid, and
Yes,
like,
I remember
wow, like,
that.
I mean, it was almost like an extra paycheck every month. And I
Yeah.
walked away from that to start my own business. And to me,
Insanity.
it wasn't that well, I'm certain there were people, except for my kids, because they know me, but I'm
Right.
certain there's people that thought I was insane, including the bosses that I gave my notice to. But for me, it was more, I have to do this before it's too late,
Yeah.
right?
And
Like,
that came into play for me as well too,
yeah,
because, okay, if you haven't done this when you're 36, well, in 4 years you're gonna be 40. Is that the right time to start making changes?
yeah,
You might as well bite the bullet, leap over the cliff, and just do the thing.
yeah. And for me, it was because I am so goal oriented, it's not even funny. If I don't have a target or a goal, I can waste time with the best of them. Like, as
Okay.
much as I might be exhausted from a busy schedule, I need a busy schedule because it keeps me focused. If I have a whole bunch of days where there's nothing coming up, meh. That's about how much stuff I get done, like
But
diddly
that's
squat,
okay. That's what
right?
those downtimes are for. That's the
Oh,
we
I'm
I
talking work days.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
know, but
talking
you know
weekends.
what? I ran into this, earlier this week, actually. So I didn't have a lot in the schedule, and you kinda have to look at that. There's such a thing as work rest too, right?
Yeah,
Because so that it gave me an opportunity to clean up this trash pile that my office has become, so that was good. And just, a little bit of time to refocus, to reset, to just step back and take a look at the business, because we were talking about this last week,
yeah,
now that you've
yeah,
hired your marketing, your manager, your general manager,
yeah,
right? So that gives you an opportunity to focus on other things. Well, if you had been going full bore constantly, bang, 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 never had
yeah,
a minute to yourself, you never would have gotten to the point where it's like, hey, I can hire a guy to do these things for
yeah.
me, right?
Uh,
So
and
downtime in
that's
business is
where,
not all bad.
yeah, and that's where mine, it's never too late really comes in. For me, it's never too late to improve how you're doing things.
100%.
So I am constantly in a evaluation, reflection. How do I tweak this? I love improving things. And I think I mentioned last time, I had no idea how close to burnout I was until I
Yeah.
got help and started backing away. And it's like, I am exhausted, never mind tired. I'm
Yeah.
exhausted. And hiring, yes, okay, full disclosure, I hired my older brother as my general manager. And even to say that, like, did I ever think I'd be successful enough to hire my brother at the salary he demands, right? Because he's had his successful career as well and earned
Yeah.
that rating. Um, did I ever think I'd be able to do that? And no, I didn't think, but best decision I ever made. I have learned so many things in the not even a month yet that he's been
Yeah.
on board. For one, we both handle frustration exactly the same way,
And
which
how
was,
is that?
oh, it's not pretty. But the one
Is
time he
volume
got,
involved?
no, no, just frustration. And literally, when he was honest enough to admit to me that he was challenged by something I had assigned and it wasn't working properly.
Okay.
And just watching his frustration, I was like, I am like watching myself in a mirror. I know, right? Which then, of course, gets you thinking, did our parents teach us this? Like, where, like the fact that we have had entirely different careers, but we
Yeah.
react in the exact same way, even though our personalities aren't exactly the same. That was interesting.
That is interesting,
He,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. The other thing is, for the first time in a 15-year career, I'm not doing this alone. I
Yeah.
have someone putting in just as many hours, caring just as much. I'm adjusting, and that's a process. I am
Mhm.
adjusting to have someone caring about my physical well being. Like, I got a text from my brother the other day that literally said, it was like 6 o'clock p.m. And it said, "You're getting sleepy." Meaning back away from the
Get
desk,
off the
Sandy, right?
computer, go to bed.
Right? Like, it's
Yes, I
time
love that.
to go
That's
chill now.
adorable. Well,
Yeah,
and
it's
that's sort of the benefit of hiring a family member because an average
100%.
paid employee wouldn't think to do that or wouldn't have the
Yeah,
guts to do that.
you're
So,
right.
but because he's your brother, he'll do that. And that could go the other way too. He can be, overstepping and obnoxious because he's your
Yeah.
brother and you'll let him get away with it where you wouldn't let someone
Yeah,
else.
and I definitely haven't run into that. He has so much respect for the career I built and just wants to help build it as opposed to cause any waves.
Yeah.
In fact, the task that he was so frustrated with, I realized I had assigned way too much to him right in the beginning when he was getting used to systems and things.
Mhm.
So I actually pulled it back from him and said, you know what? I'm going to continue doing this for time being, master these other areas. We'll
Yeah.
revisit in 6 months. And he was so blown away that he had someone that cared he was frustrated.
Yeah.
So it's just like the most perfect combination. I run things past him just to get his opinion. Yeah, it's, and then some decisions I just make, and he totally respects that. He knows it's my company. He touches base like, how would you like to do things?
Mhm.
So the one thing I have realized, and you're going to laugh at me because I don't even know why I'm surprised, because I'm certain I've done this a million times in my life,
Okay.
but so many things are changing all at the same time. So I brought
Yeah.
on new staff, so they're getting used to systems.
Right.
We brought in the new customer relationship management system, the CRM. So that's brand new to all of us, and we're all in a
Yes.
learning curve with that.
Yep.
I'm in the middle of moving my office space, so that's
Yep.
changing. It's like, and who thought all of this was a good idea to do at the same time? Having said that, when the dust settles, which
Yes.
I'm hoping for like mid-July,
Okay.
um, we will all be up and operational and in the new space. And the new space comes with decks and a big backyard and the
Yeah.
perfect space for me to retreat to after a work day and sit outside.
Mhm.
Or, I envision first thing in the morning with a coffee, just thinking about the day and allowing that creative time as opposed to, the hustle. So,
Yeah. Well, that brings to mind that whole concept of morning routine. Like, so
yep,
there's so many success coaches out there and
yep,
business coaches and that sort of thing. And there's one in particular that I've been following for a few years now. He's a coach for financial advisors. And his big thing is the morning routine. I mean,
yep,
so his particular morning routine involves him getting up at like 4:45 in the morning, which is insane, and I don't do that. But the idea of being deliberate about what you do in the morning to
yep,
set yourself up for the day. So you get up, you move your body, you get a little bit of exercise, you drink some water, you have a shower, you get some food or some coffee into you before you start looking at your emails. Like, picking up
yep,
your phone and looking at emails in bed is just not generally a good way to set yourself
no,
up for the day. So just the whole idea of being very deliberate about how you set yourself up, I love that. And it's one of those things, you keep trying it, you keep doing it, you keep falling off the wagon, you keep adjusting it and changing it to make it work for you. But it's to me, that's been a very key component, because
yeah.
I know when I can do sort of the things that I want to start my day with, my day is inevitably going to go much smoother if I don't walk into this office with 30 things going off in my head already.
Yeah. Yeah. I most definitely have a morning routine to the point that it's a task list in Asana. And there are certain
Okay.
things I do, journal entries. What my morning mindset is one of them. So I'm
Mhm.
preparing for the day. I listen to the Daily Fire that Brendan Boucher does. So that's an inspirational message. So just getting myself into that pumped up, I've got this. This is going to be excellent kind of mood. If
Yeah.
I, out of curiosity, maybe you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
Sure.
Have you ever read your emails in bed before you got up?
Oh, constantly.
I have
Oh,
never
oh,
done that.
yeah. Oh, no, God, are you kidding me? Yes, absolutely. I mean, I had this, well, not this particular phone, 'cause it was a long time ago, but when I was in the hospital having my back surgery, I had my phone
Oh,
with me and I was doing emails, on a gurney, for Pete's sake. Oh, I've totally done that. Absolutely. Do I recommend it? No, because well, okay. I don't recommend it, but I could see how it happens, because you go to bed with something on your mind, you're waiting for something to happen, and
yeah,
I
okay,
don't
in
know,
that case, I could see
yeah.
if
But
you're
it's
waiting for a response.
yeah.
I,
But should you be getting a response at 6 a.m.?
yeah,
Like,
you
how insane
shouldn't
is
be.
that? Right? So,
Yeah,
it's different now because I'm not in a 24/7. So when I was in insurance, when I was doing claims, that's a little bit different because
yeah,
things happen overnight. Things start on fire in the middle of the night, so it was a little bit
yes,
more urgency there. But
yeah.
now, everything that happens in my day can happen between 9 and 5 for the most
Yeah,
part.
exactly. Somewhere like we both take training at different times. And ages ago, someone mentioned that the email inbox is someone else's to do list. And that so stuck with me that checking my emails is probably 10th or 12th on my morning routine list.
Okay,
Like,
well, that
I
explains
don't,
why when I email you first thing in the morning, I don't hear back till after lunch. Well,
yeah.
now I know why.
It's like I
And
have
I'm
to
not pooping
set
on you
the
for it. I think that's good.
Yeah, I set the groundwork for my day, and then when I know that's solid, then it's like, "Okay, now I gotta see, do I have to adjust things? What's going on with the email? Does someone need to reschedule?" Whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a bad
That's
case
what
of FOMO, like that whole fear of missing out thing. So I
yeah,
have to be very deliberate with myself about not checking emails first thing. And it's still something that's still
yeah,
I'll call it a problem, that
yeah,
I have, that I will tend to jump into the email box too soon at the beginning
yeah,
of the day. And then that sidetracks you. Right. So it's
yeah.
like, oh, I'll just take care of this one
100%.
little thing. Right.
Yeah, 100% it sidetracks you. I definitely was there. Probably 14 of the 15 years I've been in business, that fear of missing out because we
Yeah.
don't get a steady paycheck. If there's
Nope.
someone requesting a quote, you want to get on that. Until I realized I was training them that I was going to do that. right?
Yes.
And it's like they know how busy I am. So why am I acting like I'm not?
Yeah.
So I know one of the things my brother loves is come like 3, 4, or 5. It depends on the day, what time I'm quitting for the day. I start
Mhm.
at 6 a.m. every day. So, but at that point, the lights are going off in this office. I'm heading to my living room and, excuse the expression, creator himself couldn't make me come back in here. I may, if something urgent, someone calls, I may say, I'll get back to you tomorrow. Like, obviously, if they got through, I can see if it's something urgent. But,
Yeah.
and now the best part, like I must have been doing an event. Yeah, a full day seminar. And I just put the autoresponder. If you need something, email Ernie.
Yay!
It's like,
Someone to
and
pass
it's
the
like,
buck to.
it's like I don't feel, because for me it was the guilt of feeling like I was ignoring someone important to me, a customer or a
Yes,
colleague or something.
absolutely.
But
You don't
now
wanna
that
ever
I
do that.
know, exactly, and now that I know I have someone very responsible that can handle it, it's like email him. If it's not urgent, you won't. And if it
Mhm.
is, you should email him. He can handle it. And if it's really urgent that you need me, he knows how to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
But that's not something I'm putting out into the general public, right? So
Except you just did.
yes. It was so like I literally stopped when after I had typed the autoresponder, and it was like, my customers are going to get taken care of even though I'm busy all day.
Yeah,
And it was amazing.
that is
So
awesome,
yeah,
actually, yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's yeah,
I
and I
think
think, oh sorry,
we
go
have
for it.
we have higher and harder expectations of ourselves than our clients do. You know, I've called someone up apologizing that they went to voicemail, and they're like, "No, we understand. You were
Yeah,
with somebody, so yeah, my call went to voicemail. It's okay." And it's
yeah,
like, "I'm sorry, I can't be 100% available for everybody 100% of the time." Well, no one actually expects that. And if
yeah.
someone is that unreasonable, you don't want them as a client anyway.
Yeah. And for me, this is going to sound ludicrous in hindsight,
Yes?
but I had like my salesperson as well as my brother point out, everyone is shocked that you answer the phone. Like,
Mhm.
you have this team and this business you built for 15 years. Why can't I reach you? Right? Like, no one is expecting to directly reach you. And I was like, that is such a
That
valid
is
point.
interesting, isn't
Right?
it?
It's
Yes.
like, oh my God. Yeah. So, and I had a few people like, Sandy, is this actually you? Like, and yeah, heads up.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the distractions, right? If you can eliminate those distractions, and it's not that you're telling other people that they're not important to you. What you're
No,
saying is that
not at all.
whatever it is that you're working on at this moment is too important to be, yanked off course by a phone call or an email. And if you can
Well,
kind of get that, sort of through your own head that what I'm working on is important, then the other things will come and you'll deal with them when you can, right?
yeah. And the thing is, and I know you're the exact same way, when I'm shooting a podcast with you, this is where my focus is. I'm not
Mhm.
going to answer the phone and do all these other things. If I'm in a seminar, that's who gets my focus. And whoever has to wait when it's their turn, they get 100% of my focus. So
Yeah.
rather than everyone getting 10% and no one appreciating my lack of effort, it's like, no,
Yeah.
this just wasn't on my agenda yet. If you want to meet, I'll be happy to put you on the agenda. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So,
I think, well, you remember multitasking, right? They've
yes,
finally done the research that proves it's not multitasking. You're not doing 2 things at once. You are
yeah,
quickly switching between 2 or 3 or 5 things at
yeah,
once, but you are not physically able to focus on more than one thing at a time, which
yeah,
is what drove me batty when I was working in corporate and I had, a scorecard of all the multiple priorities that we have. We have like
yeah,
these are our 5 focuses for this quarter. Well, you can't have 5 things to focus on. You can only focus on and
yeah,
prioritize one thing at a time,
yeah.
and then you
For
can move to
me,
something else, but
and
one thing.
maybe I just misread the manual. For me, multitasking was always I'm working while the dishwasher is going and the washing machine's going.
Oh yeah.
That's multitasking,
Yeah. But technically the
right?
machines are doing the task.
Exactly, but
You
I'm
set them up
getting
and
my
let them
dishes
go.
done. Exactly.
Yes.
That was the extent of my multitasking. Yes, I'm getting 3 tasks done, but only one. I can only focus on one, right?
Yeah.
But
I,
if I
I
can
have a
delegate something or whatever the
yes.
case may
Well,
be,
exactly.
right?
You're delegating the dishes to the dishwasher. I got
Yep.
a Roomba a couple of years ago and I love the thing. I hear it bonking around in the hallway and it's like my floors are getting clean. There it's
I
now it's not as fast and it's not as good as if I did it myself. I will
yeah.
admit that. I can go through and Swiffer the room a lot faster and I'll get the corners that it misses. But it's getting done to a reasonable degree and I'm doing something more important.
So I have one too. It was a Christmas present to myself 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And what I get a kick out of, I don't know if you have the app on the phone for yours?
No, mine's pretty low
So
tech.
so
Cheap
I
one.
have an app on my phone, and I
Okay.
am not kidding here. Every now and then I get a notification, like as if someone texted me, and it says, "I'm sorry, I'm hanging off a cliff. Can you come help me?" And he's caught on an extension cord or something. It's like,
Help me,
"What?"
mommy, I'm stuck.
It's like,
Oh,
"I
I
seem to
love
have run out
that.
of my energy. Can you please take me back to the base?" It
Well,
is the
my
messages are hilarious.
that's
So
hilarious. Well, mine, if it gets stuck, it'll start beeping,
oh,
so I'll have to hear it and then go rescue it and go
yeah,
bail them
no,
out, right?
mine I can hit find, but otherwise I just get a text message. It's like, "What
Oh,
cliff?
that's
There is no cliff in this house."
well, when
I
you're
know
this
there is not.
tall, a cliff that's this tall, like if
Exactly.
you're 3 inches tall and the cliff is a half an inch
Yep,
tall,
yep. He
it's
gets caught
significant.
on my weight machine every single time. He tries to
Yes,
run over the leg and then he ends up yeah,
right.
it's
Hanging himself
ridiculous.
up.
But you
And
know
I
what?
love how we refer to them as he.
Yes,
It's
he's
like
doing the floor. Yes.
he's doing the floor.
Read
The
into that whatever you care to. Viewers and listeners, yes. So, I was just thinking about this idea of it's never too late.
Mhm.
And I think for me, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you feel differently, but to me, the counterbalance to that is then you're stuck doing it the way you are for the rest of your life.
Mm.
Like it's either no change or it's
All the
never too late
change.
and you can change, right? And for us being in business, never mind just being human. Like I think of the things I used to do even in my 30s, 40s that I would not do now.
Mhm.
And then there's probably things I do now that some people might think I'm too old to do and tough noogies.
Yeah.
If there's one thing at 60 years old is I no longer care about your opinion, right?
Yeah,
This is
isn't that
my
oh, it feels
journey.
so good to kinda let that
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
that whole consideration for what other people think of you as when you're
Yeah.
walking down the street. That
Yeah.
oh, I
It's just
don't.
I and I don't know about I'd be interested to hear your reasoning behind it, but for me, anytime I think of, someone else's opinion, it's I have lived and earned the right to live my life my way. Like I
Mhm.
have done it your way. I've tried it. I've tried all these different boxes. None of them worked for me.
Yeah.
60 years of trying. It's my turn. Right?
Yeah.
Don't like it, don't watch. Like, turn around, go away
Yep.
the other way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, when I think about that, for myself at least, um, I don't recall being incredibly worried about what other people thought of me when I was younger, although I know I did more so than I do now, because I would always feel kind of fairly comfortable, fairly confident doing my own thing and not worrying about, well, everybody else is doing whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that whole peer pressure thing that they warned you about in middle school was not that big of an issue for me.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it became and I'm gonna call it a hormonal thing. As I
Okay.
got into my 50s and I got, menopausal and I got menopause weight on me that I can't get rid of, and I got to the point where it's like, "Okay, this is who I am. I am not gonna turn myself inside out to try and achieve something that may or may not be achievable." See, I acknowledge the existence of limits and the
Yep.
possibility of things not working out, right? Or not
Yeah.
going the way you want, or not being able to do everything you want just because you want it. So if that's going to be the case, I have gotten to a point of acceptance where, okay, this is who I
Yeah.
am. This is what my body looks like, as an example. And if someone else doesn't like it, I don't give a flying.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And to me, it definitely comes down to the reason why.
Yeah.
I could care two beans what size someone else thinks I should
Oh,
be. Having
whatever.
said that, do I want to be a smaller size for my health? Absolutely. And by the way, lost 8 pounds. Yes.
Congratulations.
So it does, and that whole menopause thing you were talking about. So I am living proof that if you live long enough, it does get easier, because I did a solid
Yes.
10, 15 years that I literally could have just lived on air and would not have lost a pound. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a reality, it's a thing, right?
It
So yeah,
totally
I
is.
think it really depends. Like, even with our businesses, and we've had this conversation, I
Mhm.
don't want to earn, I'm just going to pull a number under the air here. I don't want my business earning $1 million a year because someone says that's the definition of success.
Oh,
I
screw that.
have targets I want to
Yeah.
achieve, but they're my targets.
Yeah.
And they're not even anyone else's business, right? And that's
Yeah,
between me and my
absolutely.
team, right?
Yep.
And I have my reasons for that, and I'm certain you have this conversation on a regular basis.
Mhm.
Is like, what do you? For me, it's that security, not worrying about how to pay the bills, that freedom that comes with not worrying about paying the bills.
Yeah.
Those are the things that appeal to me, and there's a dollar amount attached to it. But I'm not
Yep.
renting a billboard to say I made X number of dollars. It's like, that's not the goal. It's
Yeah.
what it gets me is the goal.
Well,
So
exactly. It's
yeah,
it's that whole comparison is the thief of joy concept,
yeah,
right? If
100%.
you are happy in your business and your life, whether or not you're an entrepreneur, you've got a job, or you're, a stay-at-home person,
Yep,
yeah, if you are comfortable with your life, whether or not it's I look at your life and say, "Ooh, I don't know if I'd be comfortable with that."
yeah,
You don't have X amount of dollars in your RSP yet.
yeah,
Uh, whatever,
yep,
whatever that metric is,
yeah,
it's nobody else's flipping business for
yeah,
one. And if you're comfortable and you're happy, and you are in a place where you're not asking me to subsidize your decisions in life,
yeah,
and we
yeah,
now that could get into a very political debate about welfare very quickly, and I don't want to do that.
yeah,
But, you know, yeah, I do believe we as a society need to take care of the people among us who have a
yeah,
difficult start for whatever reason. Society needs to take care of people. But
yeah,
at the same time, people need to take care of themselves too. And as
yeah.
long as you're trying your best to take care of yourself, then I'm willing to help you.
100%.
I don't know
I
don't
have
know
all
what
the
can't go
time in
better.
the world for someone's trying. And
Yeah.
and I'll cruise into the dangerous turf, cuz that's what I do. Um yes, I believe we have to take care of people. But how are we taking care of them? And
Yeah.
enabling people and allowing them not to have to figure out how to stand on their own. Now, there's some people who can't, and that's a
Yeah.
totally separate group, and of course we need to take care of them. But
Mhm.
I know when I started my business, so this is how long ago I started my business. There used to be this program where you could go on EI for a year,
Mhm.
and you would get your EI payments while you were building your business. And any money that you earned, you could put back into your business rather than having to repay EI. So, I'll full
Nice.
disclosure, I did go through that program. Now,
Of course you would. I would have told you to.
I was getting $700 every 2 weeks. Hmm.
Okay.
There is no way on God's green earth I could have lived on that with my car payment and my rent payment and
Yeah.
utilities and everything. And every single day of my entrepreneurial journey, I have thanked Creator for that fact, because I had to hustle.
Mhm.
Failure was not an option. I could not choose not to work today because I
Mhm.
knew I was going to get a check in. It was not big enough. It kept me from starving, but it would have been a slow starvation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that because I see other people, and I don't know if you run into them, but I meet a lot of people who think they want to think they want to become entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
but they're looking for funding to do it. And it's like, if it's dependent on funding, then you don't have the drive yet.
Yeah.
Like you, because it's going to die as soon as the funding does.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
I am so thankful that I had to hustle. And in my house, the house we grew up in, you were either in school or working.
Yep.
Laying on a couch was not an option in my parents' house. And
Yeah.
my parents worked hard. So we had
Oh,
the
yeah.
example. But like I've had to hustle from day one of my business, and I wouldn't have year 15 without year one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with that. Helping someone to stand on their 2 feet. I believe I forget what it was, one of the states, and I hate using the US as an example for anything. But in this one state, there was some form of social assistance, but it was for like 6 months. So
Okay.
what they were acknowledging is at different times during your life, sometimes you get knocked on your ass, and
Yep.
sometimes you need a little support to get up
Yeah.
on your feet.
Yeah.
But everyone going into it knows it's only a break. Right.
Yes.
So you don't become dependent on it. You use it as that bridge to get you to something. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I kind of like that model, that it's like, no, I like the idea there's some kind of net when life does its thing and the whole
Yeah.
bottom falls out, but it's not a
But there's a
dependency.
there's an
Right.
end game to it. Like
Exactly.
even with
Yeah.
EI, when you go on EI, and I've been on EI before, back in the day
Yep.
when, before it was
When we
self-employed,
had jobs,
when
those
we had
silly
jobs.
things. Yes.
Yeah, well, sometimes the job ends and you go on EI.
Yeah.
But with EI, at least there's a time frame. You earn
Yep.
this many weeks. It's going to stop at this time.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, at the beginning, you might take a week or two to lick your wounds and get over your mental trauma from getting laid off or whatever. And
Yep.
I absolutely support the idea of people taking care of themselves and
Yep.
taking a little bit of time when a job ends, especially if it ends, in a traumatic fashion,
Yep.
to really step back and think about what you want the rest of your life to look like, as opposed to just leaping right back in and grabbing the first thing that comes along.
Yep.
But you've got to get yourself to a point where this is the end game. This is when this money stops coming in. What am I going to do after that? Or am I going to sit around and whine? Well,
Yeah.
my EI ran out. Now I have to, whatever, right?
Yes. Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
Mhm.
know what? That reminds me of my mom so much, because in one of those Titanic plate kind of times in my life when my finances were like scary AF,
Yeah.
my relationship had just ended. I had 2 kids dependent on me, and I was in college full time. So because I'm First Nations, I get funding from my community while I'm in school, but it was the summer. So now my
Okay.
brain instantly goes to, I need mine, because you don't get the funding for the 2 months, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I was like, oh my God, I got to go find a job. Like, mom, can you help me watch the kids or something? Like, I got to figure something out here. And my mom totally shocked me, because she was like, no, actually, like, you're not going to go get a job. You're going to go on assistance for the summer, and you're going to take the 2 months. And I was like, my mom is telling me to go on assistance. This has never happened.
Okay.
And what
Yeah.
she said is, this insanity is not going to derail your plans. You're going to finish that course. That was your plan. Right now, you're going to take 2 months to spend time with your kids to help them over this trauma. You're going to take time to heal. You're going to enjoy this summer. And then come September, you're back in school. And if you need help watching the kids, then I'm happy to help. But you take the time. And I was like,
Wow.
wow. Right. And
Yeah.
I'm so that's exactly what happened. And I was able to finish my course rather than let someone else's actions derail it. Right.
Right.
So,
Because if you had
yeah,
picked up a job, then it would have been very easy come September to say, "I
I
can't
would have
quit my
stayed with
job."
the job
You would have stayed with the
100%.
job.
There's
Yeah.
no way I wouldn't have. So, Now we get to the section of our podcast where we talk
Yes.
about the books we're reading, the books we recommend, and our favorite quote. So,
Okay. Well, I will actually admit this time around to reading fiction. I've come to the conclusion that there's no shame in not reading, like important
100%.
things all the time. So I picked up it's actually a series, and it is called, if I can get it's called Renegade Star, the complete series, books 1 to 16. So it's a sci-fi thing. They're going through space, they're getting shot at, and robots and AI, and it's just very violent and
Okay.
yeah, but very entertaining. And it's been killing some time out in the backyard when it hasn't been pouring rain,
Nice.
and I've really been enjoying it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I'm reading at the moment.
I
How about you?
love I love a series. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people that like totally get into a book. Like, I felt depressed when I get to the end of a book.
A
Like,
good
I
one.
miss
Yeah,
that character,
absolutely. There's a
right?
letdown.
Like
Yeah.
I needed more, right? Now I'm going to admit something too this week. And this is just, why do we keep saying week? Did you notice you've done it? I've
Yes.
done it.
Well, because we did another recording session last week, and that's probably what
Aha.
that comes
Okay.
from. Yes.
Uh-huh. Sure, sure. I'm going to admit that with all the new stuff going on in my life, I definitely cut into my reading time. So I am still working on The Power of One More, which I
That's okay.
absolutely love. It's Ed Milet. Definitely enjoying it, bouncing between reading it in book form and listening on Audible if I have some time in the car. But I'm getting close to the end, but definitely haven't finished it yet. Do I recommend it? Yes, that's not my book recommendation this week, by the way, but what I've read so far, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
speaking of which, Millie, what's your book recommendation?
Oh, well, that's a little bit trickier because I don't know that I have one. Well, let me actually no, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna not say that. I'm gonna go back into my library in my Kindle here and find one that I have finished reading that I can recommend. Let's look at the personal development section. Actually, this one is quite relevant. It's called Deep Work by Cal
Mhm.
Newport, and it's all about focusing and how to avoid, multitasking, and all the ways that we can get to the point where we're not flailing around doing 10,000 things a day,
Yeah.
but we are doing the important things. So I read that one a little while ago, and I have enjoyed it very, very much. What is the subtitle from it? I need to get my cheaters out. Uh, Deep Work, Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World. And again, the author,
100%.
Al Newport. A big fan of that. It's my
Okay, nice. Nice,
How
nice,
about,
nice,
what
nice.
about you?
Totally going to a different page now. So my recommendation, and I highly recommend this to everyone and anyone, it's Richard Wagamese's Embers. So
Not
it's
familiar with
uh,
that one.
Ojibwe meditations. So it's a
Oh,
whole bunch of just little quotes, little, like almost like a daily inspirational thing, but everything rooted in his life, in his Anishinaabe way of looking at things. Like this, every indigenous person I know who read it was like blown away, like, yes. And so many non-indigenous people I know just totally just appreciate it, and it really resonates with them. So
cool.
yes, highly
All right.
recommend. What is your quote for this week?
I just realized I went out of focus because I moved something to the camera. So let's see if I can fix it. So what I'm doing right now is putting up a card with my quote on it. So I have this set. There, it fixed it. That worked. I have this set of I don't call it tarot cards or whatever,
Yeah,
but it's along the theme of self-care. And so every once in a while you pull
nice.
one of these out and you read it to yourself, and you think, okay, this is the thought I'm going to have for today. And the one I pulled out this morning actually was a Louise Hay quote.
Oh,
She,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you know her. Like
Hay
she's
House. Yep.
Hay House. Yeah, a lot of
Yep.
fairly woo, but some very interesting insights in there. Do the work, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so the quote I pulled out from her was as an affirmation, and it says, "You have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens."
Wow.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that. I think we all needed to hear that.
Some days you do.
My right? My quote is obviously out of Richard's book because duh, that would just be too easy. And this
Completely.
one, I am a huge fan, and it's probably my Anishinaabe teachings, but simple everyday things that remind you of deep things, right? It's kind of like the hint to remember your values, right? So that's
Mm.
exactly what this is. So here's the quote. Every year, once spring has sprung, my world regains proper proportion because baseball is back. I love the central, right? I love the
I
central
did not see that
metaphor.
coming.
I love the central metaphor of the game. All of us helping each other to make it home. Funny how a game can teach us so much about life,
Mm, that's really
right?
nice.
And I was thinking, I thought of your work when I read that,
Oh, wow.
people
Okay.
helping others get home. And
Yeah.
you're helping women build foundations that they can live their life on, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Oh,
yeah.
I love that. Well, that
Right,
seems like a
right,
really good
right,
note to end
right.
on.
Yes. Now I'm going to give a little hint to the next episode.
Okay.
Millie can write it down so she
Yes, I
remembers for
can.
next time.
Yes, I will.
Now, this one's going to be hilarious. I can just see it now. It's called Mistakes Are Teachers.
Okay.
Yeah, we get to share the
You can
stuff we did.
come for the gory
Yeah.
details.
Yes, because no one gets to our age and stage of our entrepreneurial journey or life journey without the mistakes.
Oh, Lord.
So,
I
yeah.
can
And
think of so
then,
many already.
yes,
Woo!
and you might be really surprised, but you know what? Honestly, when I hear someone else's challenges or the mistakes they made, I find it so inspiring. It's like, wow, you weren't perfect, but you achieved what you achieved,
Mhm.
right? Like it makes them more relatable.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely. All right, we're looking
And
forward to it.
yes, until next time, everyone, take care. Would love to hear your feedback. Please comment, whether you're sending us a message or commenting on the YouTube video. Thank you so much for joining us again. Once again, I'm Sandi Boucher.
And I'm Millie Gormely.
Until next time, take care. Bye bye.
Bye.